Hi there, I'm Kian Cruz, author of Dad Bod, and you're listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 266, our favorite AC/DC songs. I'm Chris McBrien along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. Now, this week, we're going to take a look at one of the most iconic hard rock bands of all time. That's AC/DC. We're going to each run down our top 5 favorite AC/DC songs. But before we get to anything else, I actually have an announcement to make. Someone around here had a birthday recently. Derek Myers, happy birthday. Happy birthday, my friend. I hope you had a good time.
I did. I actually had a chance to take in I was going to say rock concert, but given our topic tonight, I think that's the wrong term. I had the opportunity to take in a live music concert. It featured 4 bands that were big in the 90s. Well, let's not even say big. Some of them were big.
They were around in the 90s.
Yeah, that's a good one. They were around and they had a presence in the 90s to a certain extent. The lineup included Fastball, Tonic, Sugar Ray, and the Gin Blossoms. All bands I know, all bands I was excited to see. I think they all put on a great show. They all sounded amazing, given that, they passed their prime 20 years ago. And of all the 4 of those bands, I think I have to admit Sugar Ray put on the best show. I think Mark McGrath really just gets show business. Like, he gets that he's an entertainer. He sort of has a persona as being like this, douchey rock guy, and he just leans right into it. It was a lot of fun, but as a guy who's almost 50 years old, 4 bands took 4 hours, and this isn't a festival. We're talking an actual theater stadium. And it's like, hockey games don't even take 4 hours. Like, come on, man, I'm old. I felt like you, Chris. I'm like, I'm an old man. Let me go back to my room and go to sleep.
That's me. Yeah.
Anyway, I had a good time. And then, it was at the Casino Niagara Falls. So I had a chance to gamble a little bit. So all good. Yeah. Had a great birthday. It was a lot of fun.
This year on the podcast, we've been reviewing movies that are celebrating major milestones. It's not a major milestone for you this year, Derek, but very soon I think we got one coming.
Yep. Pretty soon I'll be getting those sweet, sweet seniors discounts, just like you keep talking about.
We will have a huge party. It's next year, right?
It is indeed.
Yes. Oh boy.
Anyhow.
That's going to be good.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. I was going to say, just before we get to our favorite AC/DC songs, any pop culture you've been able to get around to?
Yeah, outside of the concert, not as much as I might normally, but good news for you. I do have some documentaries to talk about at the end, but
I'm so happy.
I've got movies, books, and documentaries. So let me start with the movies.
Educate me, my friend.
And it's a very short list here.
All right, go for it.
I had a chance to watch a relatively new movie that came out in 2019 called Booksmart. Directed by Olivia Wilde. I believe it was the first movie she directed. It stars Caitlin Dever, who you may know or may remember from the series Dopesick. She was the daughter that got hooked on Oxy.
Oh, yes. You had me watch that show. That show was pretty good.
Yeah. And she was also in the musical movie Dear Evan Hansen. She played the sister that Evan Hansen had the crush on. So when I was watching this, I'm like, where do I know her from? I'm like, that's where she's from. Cool. It also stars Beanie Feldstein, who people may know as the real life sister of Jonah Hill. And It's this movie was actually really good. It got good reviews when it came out, but it didn't necessarily do that well. It got compared to the movie Superbad a lot, and I can understand why. The premise of the movie is these two girls are like super academically inclined. They've basically sworn off any social activities during high school so that they could just get good grades and go to a good college. And they find out basically on the last day of school that all the people who were just popular slackers all got into the same schools they got into and other good schools. And they realized, like, maybe we missed out on a huge part of high school by not doing the party scene. So they decide to just take 4 years worth of partying and jam it into one night. The tagline on the poster is getting straight A's, giving 0 F's. And it actually was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. I guess I went in with kind of lower expectations, but it was good. I enjoyed it. And so, no, I was glad I had a chance to watch it because I'd heard good things. So right. It's called Booksmart. I want to say it was on probably Amazon. I've been doing a lot of Amazon stuff lately. Then I was getting ready to do my exercise the other day, and my cable went out, and I thought, well, normally I ride my exercise bike if it's crappy weather out, and I watch TV. But with the cable out and the internet down, I was like, what the hell am I going to do? So I just grabbed the Blu-ray and threw it in the player. I picked the Marvel movie Captain America: Winter Soldier. I thought, I've seen this one a bunch of times. The beginning's pretty good. I only need 45 more minutes. Let me just throw it on. Well, I forgot how good this movie is. I ended up finishing my workout, pausing the movie, got cleaned up, came back, watched the last hour of the movie. This movie ages really well. Like, obviously, there are so many superhero movies out that they all start to blur together. Especially a lot of people will do what I've often done. You go, I'm just going to start watching them all again from the beginning. You watch them one after another. And I think you sort of do a disservice to some of the better ones. And let me tell you, this was definitely one of the better ones. And I brought it up with a couple of my nerdy friends in the last week. I said, hey, guys, I just rewatched this recently. And everyone seemed to agree that they felt this was definitely in their top 5, if not their top 3 of the Marvel movies. So, yeah, Captain America: Winter Soldier. If you haven't seen it in a while, it holds up. Go back.
So there was Captain America, and then they had sequels to Captain America.
Well, the first one was called Captain America: The First Avenger. Okay. The second one was called Captain America: Winter Soldier, and the third one was Captain America: Civil War. And again, they're all tied into the ongoing stories of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But again, Captain America is one of those superheroes that doesn't really have superpowers. So they have to rely more on some of the story and the narrative than they do with, say, someone like, I'm Thor, I'm a god, I have a magic hammer. Like, you can hand wave a lot of the storytelling and go, it's magic, it's happening, the guy can fly because of magic. It's like, well, it's Captain America. It's more of it's got to rely on the character building a little more.
Gotcha.
Believe me, there's some phony baloney parts in these movies as well. It's a comic book movie after all, but no, it's quite good. I thought it really held up well. Then I had a chance to read, or rather listen to, a new book that just came out. Chris, this might interest you a lot because it's a book about betting on sports.
Oh, cool.
So the book is called Gambler: Secrets from a Life at Risk. And the author is a gentleman named Billy Walters, who is widely believed and to be the best sports gambler, the most successful sports gambler ever. A lot of the way that a lot of sports gambling works today is based off of his systems that he's put in place over the last 30 years. He's worked with a lot of the casinos when they started putting sports gambling into the casinos and making it more legit. He works with a lot of the gambling websites now, and with a lot of the broadcasters to do like special segments on TV about sports gambling and educating people on like what do the lines mean and what are safe bets or what are reasonable bets. Obviously, there's no such thing as a safe bet, but it was fascinating listening to this guy's life story. Like I said, I listened to it as a book on audio. It just came out. The book just came out a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite good. It's called Gambler. It's written by Billy Walters. It's about him. It's his life story, and he reads it. I will give you a hint, though. If you're going to listen to this as an audiobook, which I did, the guy's like 80 years old, and he speaks really slowly because he's 80 years old. Listen to it faster than your normal. I listened to it 1.25 times, and that was about perfect. Found that I listened the first hour just on normal speed, and I was like, oh, my God, dude, get to it already. So nice. just a little tip if you're going to listen.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then I finally, after many weeks, had a chance to watch a couple of documentaries.
For 40 days and 40 nights, he watches documentaries. He likes to learn about the world. It's Derek's Documentaries. Derek's Documentaries.
Oh, please do share. It's been a while.
All right. So
what documentaries?
So I had a chance to finally dip back into my mother's Netflix account because, password sharing and stuff. But anyway, there's a series on Netflix called Untold, and it's a documentary series that talks about sports. And each episode features some sort of ridiculousness that's happened in sports. There was one I talked about previously about a basketball referee that would gamble on the games that he was refereeing.
Yes, I remember you telling me about
a lot of these scandalous things. There was like a guy who killed racehorses for insurance fraud. It's like these bizarre stories. So I had a chance to watch 2 episodes because they've dropped a new season. So on the recommendation of my brother and a few other people, I went and watched a couple of them. So I watched 2 episodes this week. One of them, the episode was called Hall of Shame. And it was all about doping and steroids in professional sports, but largely about baseball and track and field. Something called Balco, which was the company that did all the drug testing and the drug masking, and they were coming up with ways to do like designer performance enhancing drugs that would not be detected by typical testing techniques. It was interesting. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff about steroids in professional sports in the past, so while this was a new take on it, the outcome was pretty much the same. Eventually, they all get caught, and that's why we're seeing a documentary on it. So that one was pretty good. But then another one that I watched that was fantastic, it's called Johnny Football. Chris, do you know who Johnny Football is?
No, I don't think so.
No, and I don't either because I don't watch football.
Me, I'm not a big football guy. No.
Well, and he was a college football player predominantly. So It's about a quarterback named Johnny Manziel who probably about 15 years ago was like a phenom in high school. He ended up getting a full ride to college. He went to Texas A&M and like he won the Heisman Trophy his first year. He was like the first rookie to win a Heisman in like 50 years or ever. And he ended up playing two seasons 2 years at college and then went pro and then didn't do as well as a pro player. But the whole thing is that just he was like not your typical athlete. He didn't work out. He didn't go to practice. He didn't watch game tapes. He didn't do what the coaches told him. He was so naturally gifted. He could literally just walk on the field, do his thing, be amazing, and then go party. And that was the whole thing about him. That's why people loved him, because he was partying with like rock stars and celebrities and supermodels and rappers. And then eventually he started figuring out a way to earn money, because as a college athlete, you're not allowed to earn money. And so they came up with this thing where he ended up earning all this money behind the scenes. And then he bought a private jet and he would fly around the world and stuff. And then he would like party the night before a football game and then show up for the game super hungover and then still go out and set a record. Like he was that good. So it was fascinating. And as someone who didn't know absolutely anything about this guy, it was 100% brand new to me. And I thought it was great. Obviously, people who are into football probably know all about this guy. But 2 great episodes on the Untold series. There's 2 more I haven't had a chance to watch yet. So they're coming. I think the next one was about the Florida Gators football team. Again, don't follow football, so don't know anything about what this is about. But it's obviously important enough to make a documentary series on. So I'm looking
maybe it might be about
now.
Gatorade. That'd
Probably not, cool. But you never know. I'll tell you next week after I've had a chance to watch it.
Because it was about that.
So that was it for me. What about you?
I've mentioned this before, Derek. There's a Canadian TV station out of Hamilton, Ontario, that replays old TV shows from like the 60s and 70s and 80s. Needless to say, it's one of my favorite TV stations. Go figure. So the other day, I'm flipping around the TV and I see that Gilligan's Island was on that station.
Black and white or in color?
So this was a color one that I watched. Now, the thing was, this show originally ran from 64 to 67. Most Gen Xers grew up, past that, in the late 70s and early 80s. But the thing was, they got a chance, we Gen Xers got a chance to watch the show nonstop because it was always on in reruns. Always. Like for me and for a lot of other people during Gen X, Gilligan's Island used to be on every weekday afternoon after school. You come home from school, put on Gilligan's Island. And there was under 100 episodes overall. So most people have seen like every single episode, multiple times. But anyway,
I think that's fair.
Most Gen Xers understand this. There was this long running question: Ginger or Marianne? Like either you had a crush on Ginger and you liked that glamorous, sultry, beautiful woman, or you liked Marianne, who was the wholesome girl next door type, right? Actually, Derek, the same thing applied to WKRP. Because it was like Bailey or Jennifer. But okay. So again, most guys have been involved in this debate to some degree. You know, whenever Gilligan's Island came up, you know, it was like, you know, this debate would happen, Ginger and Marianne. And like I say, I used to watch a show when I was like a lot younger. So as I've mentioned here on the podcast, you know, I like to go back and watch some of this old pop culture from our youth. So now I look at things from a different lens now that I'm older. And I got to tell you, as a 50-year-old man, going back and watching this show again, there was a viable third option on the island. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mrs. Howell. Oh, God.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
I'm an old dad, so now I got to tell an old dad joke. Okay, since we're doing our favorite AC/DC songs this week, I felt it was only fitting I did an AC/DC dad joke for you. Okay. Derek, why is the band called AC/DC?
I have no idea.
Because that's the only 3 chords that they know.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yes. Is there any chance you might have a documentary for us this week?
Derek's Dogs, party time, excellent.
Colonel Sanders.
Slow down there, Chris.
Was he finger licking good?
Oh, my.
I can think of 11 reasons not to like that.
2 of which you know are salt and pepper.
Oh, I heard about this.
Oh my God, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
But I appreciate the effort.
Back the truck up, hold it.
You know, more than just white dudes.
2 of my favorite things, Star Wars and beer. So as my dad joke points out, you know, there's that age-old joke about AC/DC. Like, they are the kings of 3-chord songs, right? You know, like they really were. But I think that's okay. Like, as a guitar player and a former guitar player in a band myself, and also world-famous singer and songwriter, Derek, as you know, that's me. You know, I think that's okay that you just play 3 chords, because it's not what you play, it's how you play it, right? And AC/DC not only had some of the best hooks in the history of rock music, as far as I'm concerned, they hardly ever used power chords. They almost exclusively used open chords in their songs. And that's what gave their sound such a twangy kind of feel and sound to it. And it makes AC/DC really unique in their sound. Like, Thunderstruck uses power chords, but a song like Highway to Hell is like, it's all open chords. It sounds so different. So anyway, who cares if the chord progressions are simple? As far as I'm concerned, as long as the songs kick butt, doesn't matter. I think not too many bands in the history of rock consistently kicked butt the way AC/DC did. Do you agree or disagree on that one?
No, I definitely agree. And I mean, we've sort of done this exercise with a few other big bands that were huge. Like, we did Queen, we did Michael Jackson, we did Van Halen. We try to find
too,
we did Prince.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, can't believe I missed Prince. So, like, we're looking for artists that have a large catalog of music and a large catalog of great music, because a lot of bands have a big catalog, but it's clear they've got, like, these are their 3 best songs. There's no question. And that makes for boring radio. So we wanted to make sure that we have a band that we both like, that has a lot of good songs, a lot of hits, a lot of things to talk about. And I think AC/DC, we like, you and I have talked about this. So we have 3 or 4 bands sort of lined up that we're going to eventually do this exercise with. And I knew AC/DC was on the list. Now, I think, in all fairness, I think you like AC/DC a lot more than I do. Like, I like them. I would say, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give them probably a 7. But I think, from what I understand of you, usually probably would put them more at a 9 out of 10
Yes.
or a 10 out of 10. Is that fair?
9 to 9.5. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, we're not going to both like everything equally. No. And that's part of what makes for a show like this, is we're going to come at it with different opinions.
That's why we do this.
So, as much as I like AC/DC, I know definitely you like them more, you know them more, and I think you have a longer history with them than I do, which I'll get into with my very first pick.
Right.
And I think that's part of where, you know, as we go through the list, it's going to quickly become apparent sort of where our songs are different is going to be largely how we came to know the band.
See, for me, it's not just that AC/DC kick butt. They were a little bit popular too. Like, Derek, if Michael Jackson's Thriller album did not exist, the highest selling album of all time would be Back in Black.
Back in Black, yeah.
By AC/DC. It's number 2. So like it's 50 million copies sold to Thriller's 70 million. Pretty impressive. But I mean, AC/DC was a band with like really broad appeal. Like they were huge. Huge. So I have a question for you before we get started. Did you ever see AC/DC in concert?
I did when
wow.
Yeah, it was actually not that long ago when we were going through the SARS crisis, probably about 10 years ago.
That was like around 2001, 2002, something like that.
Wow, was it that long ago? Man,
yeah.
I'm starting to get like you. Back in my day, we had a SARS concert. So they did a big charity benefit concert here in Toronto where they brought together a whole bunch of bands, including, I think the Rolling Stones were the headliner. AC/DC was on the bill. Rush was on the bill. Justin Timberlake happened to be in Toronto that week doing a concert. So he agreed to do a set, even though that wasn't really the kind of music they were promoting for this event. But when it's a charity event, you take what you can get. And so that was the only time I've actually had a chance to see AC/DC performing live. And it was at this, basically festival type setting where it was, not in a theater, not in a concert hall. It was an outdoor event. And, it was great. I mean, it was, I really enjoyed it. But being the kind of event it was, we were quite a ways back from the main stage. But it still sounded good.
AC/DC is one of the bands I truly regret I've never seen live. I always regretted not seeing them live, but I have another question for you. So AC/DC basically had 2 incarnations of the band. As you know, they started out with Bon Scott as their lead singer, and they did 7 albums with him as their frontman. Like they did High Voltage and TNT, both were Australian only releases. Then they went High Voltage in 76 internationally. They did Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Let There Be Rock, Powerage, Highway to Hell. Then in February of 1980, Bon Scott was drinking at a bar in London, England one night, passed out in his friend's car and never woke up. They found him dead the next day. The official coroner's report said he died from acute alcohol poisoning. There's been rumors for years that he choked on his own vomit in his sleep. But anyway, he died. And the band obviously considered breaking up, but they decided to keep going. And they brought in Brian Johnson. So they basically have had 2 incarnations of the band, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. Like, we've seen it with like Van Halen and stuff too, but it's still pretty amazing. So my question, I guess, for you, Derek, is Bon Scott AC/DC or Brian Johnson AC/DC? Do you prefer one or the other?
Well, I mean, again, I didn't come to AC/DC until the late 80s. So by then I'm hearing the current singer in the 80s. It wasn't until years later I started to become more familiar with their older back catalog. So I think I got to go with the new guy.
Yeah, and I guess their first album with Brian Johnson was the 2nd highest selling album of all time. So there's that. Yeah. Okay, so why don't we get started? We'll do our top 5 list. You can kick us off. Your number 5 favorite AC/DC song. Go.
Yeah. So before I do that, I just looked it up. The SARS stock concert in Toronto was in 2003. It was 20 years ago. Wow. All right. Anyway, my number 5. So my number 5 song is probably not going to make most people's lists, even if we gave them the top 10 or top 15, but it's a big song for me, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So the song I'm going with is called Big Gun. It's from 1993. It was on the Last Action Hero soundtrack. Again, you're like, what's that? It was a movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1993. It was considered, it's considered, one of Arnold's biggest flops. Up until that point, everything Arnold Schwarzenegger had ever done was a success, and it was a different kind of movie. It just didn't click. But man, oh man, it had a fantastic soundtrack. It had all these rock artists who were big in the late 80s and early 90s. And AC/DC, the number 1 song, like literally track 1, was a song called Big Gun. And it was the main theme for the movie. And that was really, sort of not my introduction to AC/DC, but in the sort of around the mid to late 90s, like the mid to late 80s, 89, 90, 91 sort of. That's when I started to get into music that was a little heavier. Up until then, I'd been into more like pop music, top 40. And so this was one of the first AC/DC songs that was released when I was like, okay, now I'm into more like heavy. I don't want to say heavy metal because I don't think what I liked really would be classified that way, but let's say heavy rock. And so this song really just did it for me. Given that in '93 we're starting to get into an era where it's a lot of like boy bands and softer pop music, and all a lot of the rock bands are doing like ballads and things of that nature. And we're just on the cusp of what's going to be the grunge era. So like music was sort of in a weird place at that point. So when you get this song right at the start of summer, like that's just like heavy rock song, it just was the right song, the right time. I'm 1993. That's the year I graduated from high school. So this was like an important summer for me. And this was like a #1 hit song in Canada anyway. So it's just always held a special place for me. It did reach #1 on the US Billboard rock charts. And I was doing a little bit of the homework, even, again, sort of to emphasize, just because I like it doesn't mean it's necessarily a fan favorite. It said that AC/DC has only ever played this song live once, and that was in 1996 during a rehearsal, but they have never once ever played it at a live show as a part of the actual concert. So even though I like this song a lot, clearly the band doesn't feel that it makes it into their the best of their best, because obviously you only have 2 to 3 hours when you're putting on a show. And yes, they have a deep bench, as we've already talked about. They obviously don't feel that this makes the cut, but for me, it does. It's my #5 pick.
Well, this isn't the top 5, or most popular 5 AC/DC songs. It's our favorite AC/DC songs, and that's what makes it great. Yeah. Funny, I'm looking at my top 5, and 3 of them are from the Bon Scott era. So I do like the older stuff. Okay, my #5 in 1977. The band came out with Let There Be Rock. That was their 4th album. And it's known for Let There Be Rock and Problem Child. Those are the 2 big songs off it. But the last song on side 2 is one of the most energetic songs the band ever made, I think. And that's Whole Lotta Rosie. So, man, this song kicks butt. So, like, big butt, actually. Because the song was written about an obese Tasmanian prostitute that Bon Scott, how shall we say, visited, back in the mid-70s. The lyrics, if you listen to it, they point out her dimensions, 42, 39, 56, and that she's weighing in at 19 stone, which works out to be like 250 pounds or something. Jeez. So the lyrics make the song pretty much sophomoric, really, but it's not the lyrics that I like about this song. It's just the raw energy that the band puts into it. Musically, it's pretty much as simple as you can get. Like we mentioned about AC/DC, they use 3 chords. This one's basically 2 chords. It's just an A and a D, just with some riff notes to give it a hook. And then in the middle, they've got this kind of dueling guitars thing going on between Angus and Malcolm. Angus does the riff on the high notes, and Malcolm plays the 2 chords in rhythm. It is a great song. It just pops. It's got juvenile lyrics. You could even construe them as offensive, really, but the song is just energetic. It's probably one of the most energetic songs that they have, so it's my #5. So
I can honestly say I've never heard it.
Oh, well, you
never heard it before.
Well, go look it up at least on YouTube, Whole Lotta Rosie, and give it a listen, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, that's pretty good." It's super energetic. So it's one of my favorites. It's my #5 favorite. So your #4 favorite AC/DC song is.
My #4 favorite. We're going back to 1976. We're getting the title song from their album, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. So you want to talk about juvenile lyrics. I mean, they're not winning any Pulitzers for poetry with these lyrics, right? It's basically, it is, as the title says, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Like he repeats it again and again and again. There's no deep meaning. It's straight up, I'll do bad things for money. But it really rocks. It's got, one of the things I like about AC/DC is that usually their songs are pretty fast paced. And for me, that's always a staple of a good rock song. It's got to have like we talk about the beats per minute when you look at like exercising and working out. Your songs need to have so many beats per minute. I find AC/DC, a lot of their songs, especially the ones I really like, tend to be like faster beats. And this one, it kicks right in, and again, it's hard. I'm finding it hard to describe it, but let me give you a couple of the facts on here. Song reached number 24 on VH1's 40 Greatest Metal Songs. It reached number 31, Best Hard Rock Song of All Time on another countdown that VH1 had put together. And when it came out, it reached number 4 on the Top Tracks chart, which I guess was a precursor to Billboard. So it did okay. It has a bit of a reputation. It is one of those ones, even though it's from 1976, that does still continue to get airplay on some of the classic rock channels. So you do hear it from time to time. And yeah, it's again, I don't really have a lot more to say about it. Just then, I really like it, and it's my number 4.
No, that's a good pick, and it's a unique song too, because it's different than it doesn't have all these power chords and like rhythm and stuff. It's a good one. Okay, my number 4. This one's a little bit obscure, I think, but we mentioned Brian Johnson joined the band, and Back in Black was this huge success. And then they followed that up with For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, which was awesome too. But then they released Flick of the Switch in 1983, and that album sucked. Like, it totally sucked. But then they followed that up with Fly on the Wall. And for me, that was right around the time that I just really kind of got to know AC/DC a bit. So that was a big introduction to AC/DC for me, was Fly on the Wall. And Shake Your Foundations was like the big song on that album. But it also included one of my all-time favorite songs from the band, and that's Sink the Pink. So let's be honest. Pretty much every AC/DC song has some sort of double entendre and sexual innuendo.
No kidding.
And then so does Sink the Pink. I mean, come on, right? But it's not that. It's the music of the song that I like so much. So the way that Malcolm's rhythm guitar just kind of hits you in the chest, and Angus finger picks the licks. I don't know. There's the chorus. It makes you want to just shout it out. And Angus's solo in this song just shreds. I mean, he always shreds it, but this song has always been one of my favorites. I like I say, I remember the time I felt like this is almost like another comeback for the band, because like they had a bad album in between. I think if any other band had this as their only song they ever made, they'd probably be happy. But for AC/DC, it's like not even one of their better known songs. Like, but I've always loved it. I used to love playing the intro on my electric guitar. Although I never used to bang my head up and down like Angus did. How the hell did he ever play guitar like that? We got to mention that. Like, how did he not get brain damage from doing that?
Or long-term neck injury.
Yeah, neck injury. I don't know. I understand. It's crazy. But anyway, so that's my number 4. So what's your number 3 favorite AC/DC song?
Well, as you say, you were talking about double entendres and stuff. For my number 4 pick that I just talked about, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Yep.
Sort of an honorable mention song that I just couldn't justify putting on the list was a song called Big Balls, which always makes me laugh. And if you don't think there's any double meaning in that song, you got to go back and listen to it again. But in any case,
I remember my uncle driving down the street in our town, listening to that song cranked up, and my mom was just so angry. So.
All right. I think I'm going to make a lot of people upset with this next pick, my number 3 pick, because I think a lot of people feel that it's very, very much should be considered their number 1 pick.
Oh, what is it?
Definitely, it's from their number 1 album, and it's the title track, Back in Black, from 1980. So as we've talked about before, this was their 7th album, and it was the first one with the new singer after Bon Scott died, and it did fairly well. When it came out, it reached 37 on the Billboard. The song, rather, the single, reached number 37 on the Billboard Top 100. Rolling Stone put together a list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. It was number 187, so it made the top 500. And this is a fan favorite. This is the title track to Back in Black. It's got that great intro. For a younger audience, people probably now when they hear it associate it with the first Iron Man movie. Because with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's the first. Iron Man is the first movie, and in the very first scene, what do you see? It's the limousines, or I think they were in SUVs driving through the desert on his way to do his arms deal, and you hear the Back in Black song begin, and it just sets a tone. And I think it's it was a perfect choice, because it literally does. You hear this music, and it sort of just gives you a certain like mindset. Like, despite the fact that the song is a tribute to their lead singer that had died, they wanted the song to be a celebration. You always hear that. They're like, it's not a funeral, it's a celebration of life. This song literally is a celebration. Like, you listen to it, it's a rock song. And it's like, they're saying literally in it, like, we're still around. The guy died and that's tragic and we miss him and he was great and all the rest of that. But they're like, we're still here. We still have stuff to say and we're going to keep rocking. And this song rocks. This song is awesome.
It does.
And like, if this is like, I can only imagine in 1980, you're into music, you go to your record store because you bought records back then. And you bring this record home and you're like, I wonder what these songs are going to be like. And you put the album on your turntable and this is what you hear as the first song. And you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, like they can't possibly top this. And then you keep listening to this album and like, this album is amazing. It has so many good songs on it. And no, this arguably, this makes the top 3, top 5 of just about every AC/DC fan. A lot of people are probably gonna be really ticked off that I didn't put it as my number 1. But no, this definitely had to make the list. And believe me, it was a tough call for me. My 1, 2, 3 really could have come in any order, but I felt putting it at number 3 was the right place for me. So that's my number 3 pick, the title track from Back in Black.
Great pick. And as a guitar player myself, I gotta say, nobody in the history of the world can play the intro on Back in Black properly on guitar except Angus.
Yeah.
They just cannot pull it off for whatever reason. It's not what you play, it's how you play it.
Yep.
Okay, my number 3. I'm going with It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll.
That's a good pick.
If you can pull off a bagpipe solo in the middle of a hard rock song, man, you got talent, as a band. And that was Bon Scott playing the bagpipes too. I love this song.
Nice.
It's all about what it's like to slog it out and make it as a rock and roll band. And it's the first song on the international release of High Voltage. So really, this song is the introduction to AC/DC for the world, really. And what an introduction. It's such a good song. Bon Scott's vocals are insanely good in this song. And obviously the message is all about how tough it is to get to the top, which is true for anything, not just a rock and roll band. So there's a message here. And the thing is, this was Bon Scott's song. This was so much his song that Brian Johnson never performed it out of respect for him. Out of respect for him, he never performed it. So AC/DC never played this song live after Brian Johnson joined them. So I also like it how in School of Rock, this is the song that they do for their encore. And it plays over the closing credits when they're in the School of Rock. It's a great song. I love it. That's my number 3. So
no, it's a great pick. And I just like you said, I love that they put the bagpipes in there and it just totally works. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely one when you're listening to it in the car and it comes on, you got to turn it up. Like it's good. The louder it is, the more you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, what do you got?
All right. Another one that people are going to say is a travesty I didn't put as number 1. And arguably this is probably one of their most popular and well-known songs for people who don't even really know AC/DC and don't even really like what we'll call rock or heavy metal music. Mm-hmm. And that's You Shook Me All Night Long. Yeah. If you've been to a wedding in the last 30 years and you have not heard You Shook Me All Night Long, pardon me, you have not been to a wedding with white people and you haven't heard You Shook Me All Night Long.
The DJ's not doing his job.
Yeah, then the DJ is not doing his job, or somebody in the wedding party has given explicit instructions not to play
Don't play that.
Yeah, this is a party song. This gets played at every party, every backyard barbecue, at every tailgate party. Like this is just a song that you listen to and it makes you feel good. It's again, we're talking double entendres with the lyrics and or with the lyrics. This is a very, very popular song. It's a very good song. It's catchy. It's probably less rock and roll to me. Well, that's not fair. It's definitely a rock and roll song, but to me, this is not as heavy, let's say, as some of AC/DC's other big hits. I would definitely call it a rock and roll song, but this one I wouldn't necessarily classify as like heavy metal. Like it might, like the one you just picked, like the one Long Way to the Top, if you want to rock and roll, like that's a heavy metal song. This one I would just put as like a great rock song. Again, it's got great pedigree. It was on the Back in Black album, so 2 picks in a row for me from Back in Black from 1980. It reached number 35 on the USA Top 100s charts. It was also on that top 500 greatest songs from Rolling Stones. This one was number 287, exactly 100 places behind Back in Black. So definitely made that list as well. And I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, although it came out on Back in Black, when the movie Who Made Who, the Stephen King movie, came out, AC/DC did most or all of the songs on the soundtrack. I want to say this was re-released and it was included on that soundtrack as well. Does that ring true to you? Does that sound right?
I don't know if it was or not, because Who Made Who had its own soundtrack with Who Made Who and like DT and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if it did or not.
I thought I had read. But I think they had put a few other AC/DC songs on that soundtrack that were not new for the movie. And I'm fairly, because that's in my mind. This is how I remember hearing this for the first time. A friend of mine bought the movie soundtrack. Who Made Who song I liked, and because it was a new song, it was played on the radio. And then this one, I was like, oh, this one I didn't know. And but yeah, now you can't escape this. If you have Classic Rock Channel on for the better part of a day, you are going to hear this song. Probably has more radio airplay than any of their other hits. It's very, I would say it's very friendly song for AC/DC. And again, I mean that in all the right ways. And so it constantly gets played everywhere. And it definitely needs to be on the list. For me, it landed at number 2. You Shook Me All Night Long.
Yeah, it still has the sexual connotations, but not like it doesn't hit you over the head with it. And again, musically, I like it because it's all open chords. They're going open D, open G. Like it's so good. So good. All right. My number 2, great songs, Derek, do not have to be complicated musically. They can be simple. And when it comes to AC/DC, that's usually the case. But it's definitely the case with my number 2 song, Highway to Hell.
Nice.
3 simple chords, all open chords. Again, that's what makes their sound so unique. So they go from like an A to an F sharp D and then into an open G. Super simple progression. And it's got a simple money beat on the drums too. A couple of great crashes in the chorus, but it's all just really simple, but so good. So it opens with just 3 strums on an A chord. Something absolutely simple, but it's immediately recognizable. One of my all-time favorite songs to play in a band because it just kicks butt and everybody loves it too. So even the guitar solo is pretty simple. Like Angus is just bending into some high notes of an A chord. So super bluesy solo too. Like it's him all the way. So thing was too, back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a lot of hysteria around like satanic messages in hard rock music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here you've got a song that's called Highway to Hell. You know, it's also the name of the album, right? And Angus is on the cover of the album with like devil horns and a spiked tail. But so they were just like tempting fate with the religious right wingers. But is that what the song is all about? I don't know. Like it could be, but it could just be about the rough road that all bands have to endure. Kind of like the last song, Long Way to the Top, right? Like, or maybe it's just about a road back in Australia that drove into the setting sun. Like that's a rumor too. Like who knows? But that's, I think, the beauty of it all. Like you don't know, but I do know this song kicks ass right from the open note to the final vocal. This song is AC/DC. Love it. My number 2.
Yeah.
Number 1.
That's a good pick.
What do you got?
Okay. So I'm going to go back to where we started here. So my introduction to AC/DC, was in the late 80s, early 90s. Okay. And because that's when I was starting to get like I was into pop music in the 80s, but I started getting more into rock music in like 89, 90, 91. And in 1990, AC/DC put out an album called The Razor's Edge. Mm-hmm. And the single that just did it for me was Thunderstruck. And yes. I think this is absolutely one of their very, very best songs. From what I was reading, apparently this is one of the songs that they have played at almost every single live show they have ever done since this song came out. And apparently that's an oddity because I was reading, it said there's only 3 songs that were released after the Back in Black album that the band actually does perform live. And this is one of those 3 songs. And not only that, but it has been played at every single song. The band clearly unlike my number 5 pick of Big Gun, where they never play it, this is the exact opposite. Thunderstruck from 1990, they play it all the time because I think even they realize like this song is a banger. This song is awesome. It was sort of, this was my gateway into AC/DC. They put out this album, they put out this single. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I now love AC/DC. And this is the song that got me interested enough in the band that I started going back to listen to their older stuff. Oh, hey, listen how great some of this older stuff is. I also liked that, me, I'm a big music video guy. I mean, AC/DC's videos are pretty straightforward. It's usually just the band playing, performing a concert in one way or the other.
Right.
This one had them in like a theater, but the audience, it was set up in like a cage or almost like a prison almost. It looked like sort of prison cells. And it just had a very distinct visual style, considering that the video itself is really just a band playing live. But it also had interesting camera work where it had like the little cameras on the ends of the necks of the guitars looking down at the hands, and it had the performers on like a transparent stage so you could get the shots underneath, especially when he's jumping around in the private school outfit and he does that like the one leg hop, and you can see it from underneath the stage. And it's like I hadn't seen anything like that before, so it was a fairly simplistic video, but it was still memorable. And in an age where you were starting to get more like teeny bopper style music, it was nice to have like a good hard rock and roll song. And like this one just fits the bill across the board. I can't say enough good things about it. It overshadows the song, the other songs from this, like from the Razor's Edge album. There was
Money Talks,
yep. And oh my God, track 7. I can't think of what Are You Ready? I think this was called. But yeah, no, this one's just so good. It overshadows the other good songs that are also on this album. So can't say enough good things about it. I think I got to go with Thunderstruck. Like I said, Back in Black, Shook Me All Night Long, Thunderstruck. It was a crapshoot for me. Mm-hmm. I think all 3 of them are great. I think any of them would have fit in my number 1 slot, but I think because this was sort of my intro to this band, I needed to give it the number 1 recognition.
Sure. So, okay, my number 1, like I mentioned, a lot of AC/DC songs I really like for their simplicity. Just 3 chords and an amazing hook. But my all-time favorite AC/DC song is all about the layers of the music that comes in. And I know we're supposed to disagree and all that stuff to make for, good radio and good podcasting. But my song also, Thunderstruck. I'm with you 100%. I love how it's composed because it starts with Angus doing this crazy riff, just using pull-offs on the B string over and over. And then the backing vocals come in. And then the vocals switch to thunder. And then the drums start. And then the bass guitar. And then the rhythm guitar. And then all of a sudden, you have this wall of sound that's just hitting you in the chest, like full on. And then Brian Johnson comes in with his crazy, amazing vocals. And then a second layer of rhythm guitar comes in. It is not just AC/DC's best song. It is one of the greatest hard rock songs of all time. Like you mentioned, it's on Razor's Edge from 1990. But the thing with that album is, in a lot of ways, it was around the time when hard rock and metal started to decline. At least with mainstream audiences, right? Like I always felt that this song kind of marked the end of an era for metal and hard rock. Audiences' taste started to shift. They started to go over to stuff like rap and hip hop and stuff like that started to take over. So in a lot of ways, this song represents the end of an era in music. At least it does for me. But I have heard lots of people always ask this question. What's one song that instantly makes you turn up the volume when it comes on? And for me, Thunderstruck. Yeah. It is one of the best rock songs of all time, and it's their best song. So that's what I think. So I agree with you, even though we're not supposed to agree on this stuff, but absolutely I do.
I was surprised that you had anything like past 1989. So I kind of figured I was safe. I knew I had a couple from the 90s on there, but no, I'm again, it's not a competition. It's your personal favorite. And it doesn't surprise me that this is, it surprised me a little bit, but it's such a great song. It really doesn't surprise me. So
no. Of course. All right. What do you say we have some
fun with Caveman?
Derek, we've already mentioned AC/DC were famous for writing songs that had, how can we say, double meanings. You know?
Okay.
But they weren't the only band that had songs that were sort of secretly dirty. You know, oh no, that's been a staple in rock and roll for years. So here's what we're going to do, Derek. We're going to play a little game that I like to call...
Ladies and gentlemen, name that tune.
All right, so every song in tonight's game has a secret double meaning. Pretty much usually about sex. It's kind of the way it goes. All right, so I'm going to give you the band, and I'm going to give you a few choice lyrics. All you got to do, name the song. Okay?
Name the song. Okay.
All right, so Bryan Adams, me and some guys from school had a band, and we tried real hard.
That would be Summer 69.
Yes.
That song doesn't have any double meaning. What are you talking about?
It's when you both at the same time.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
All right, here's one. Deep Purple. Sweet Lucy was a dancer, but none of us would chance her because she was a samurai.
Smoke on the Water.
No, it's Knocking at Your Back Door.
Oh. Is that even by Deep Purple? Did I just offend 20 people?
No, you're good. Yeah, it was all good. Okay. But Knocking at Your Back Door was the song with the double entendre.
Yeah,
you can imagine what
I don't think I know that song, but yeah, that
you can imagine what it's about. Okay, so Aerosmith, Loving It Up When I'm Going Down.
That'd be Loving an Elevator.
Yes, it would. All right, Def Leppard. You got to squeeze a little, tease a little more. Easy operator coming knocking at my door.
That would be Pour Some Sugar on Me.
All right. Pat Benatar. That's okay. Let's see how you do it. Put up your dukes. Let's get down to it.
Hit me with your best shot.
Okay, ZZ Top. They may make several appearances here on the list.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just, Okay, here we go. And that's not jewelry she's talking about. It really don't cost that much.
Yeah, that would be Pearl Necklace.
Yeah, that's when you...
Jeez, man.
Okay.
Family show. Your censors are working overtime here.
ZZ Top again.
Good.
I got the 6. Give me your 9.
I have no idea.
Oh, it's from a song called I Got the 6. Again, it's about so.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. ZZ Top again. Well now, boogie little baby, boogie woogie all night long. Blow your top, blow your top, blow your top.
I don't know.
The song was called Tube Snake Boogie. You could probably guess what
how could you possibly misconstrue the language of that song?
Exactly. All right, next band, ZZ Top.
Oh, jeez. We just going through their whole catalog here?
My baby understood, had what to do what she should, lying near a pile of wood, lay it on some, playing with it some.
I have no idea.
The song was called Woke Up with Wood.
Jeez.
All right. Last one. ZZ Top.
ZZ Top, of course.
I've been up. I've been down. Take my word. My way round.
That one I know. That's Tush.
And of course refers to so.
Yeah.
ZZ Top was dirty.
I went 6 out of 10, man.
Not bad.
I didn't think I was going to do nearly that well.
So, ZZ Top, though, man, they were like America's dirty uncles. Really, when you think about it.
Well,
so.
and they didn't really try and hide the,
No.
the double entendre very well. The song's called Tush. Like, what'd you think it was about?
Exactly. Okay, so up next, how about we do another movie review? A film celebrating a major milestone anniversary. I'd like to go back to 1983, Derek. Surprise, surprise. It's
to the 80s?
I know.
No.
Shocking. So I want to go back to a movie celebrating 40 years. from 1983, and that's Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think of that one?
I haven't seen it in a long, long time. I think I've only seen it in its entirety once.
It is one of those movies that like Monty Python fans love. Like they really, really.
Oh, yeah. Like I definitely, there's some sketches in there that I know I've seen many times. Oh, I've seen them on YouTube. I've seen the clips. Okay. Monty Python, Meaning of Life.
Yeah. So let's go back and watch The Meaning of Life from 1983. And we'll come back next time and we'll review it. So until then, this is Chris McBrien on behalf of myself and Derek Myers saying thanks for listening to our show. It's Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.